trauma, stress, suicidality, and relationship issues. And with me is my co-host, Dr. Anu. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Rindy. Good morning, everyone. My name is Anand, Dr. Anand, you can say. I work as a psychologist for MindTribe, and I have done PhD in psychology. And I'm truly glad to have you all here for today's workshop, Transform Pain into Purpose. So, thank you all for joining. Let's make the most of this time together. Over to you, Rindy.
Thank you, Dr. Anand. She'll also be helping in answering any of your questions in the chat in case I can't get to them. So, as she had said, today's session is called Transform Pain into Purpose. We're going to explore how trauma impacts us, but more importantly, how growth can happen in the aftermath. So this is not about pretending everything happens for a reason. It's about what you can do after it happens. All right, take power in that. After the breakdown, the betrayal, the burnout, and all that pain, it's about healing, not just surviving, but in transforming yourself. All right. So all of you just sit back and let's get started. So first off, we have a few ground rules. So I wanted to make it clear, whatever is shared here stays here. So I trust that we will all be able to keep anything discussed as confidential within the group. I'm sure each of us have gone through our own pain, and we need to be respectful of that privacy. This is a judgment-free zone. Please be respectful of each one's journey and experiences. Listen to each other, right? Don't interrupt when someone is speaking. And if you have questions, you feel like they're not answered, you can stay back at the end of the session, and I'll be here to answer them. And let's be kind and compassionate to each other. The world could always use more of that. And while participation is very encouraged, it's still optional, okay? So don't feel like you have to push yourself to share if you don't feel like you're ready. This workshop is not about that. And if you would like to participate or have questions, please raise your hand or type it in the chat box. All right, and just remember, this place is for reflection, no judgment. A little disclaimer, this workshop is for educational and reflective purposes only. It's not a substitute for therapy. Some topics might be emotionally triggering, and if anything we discuss brings up difficult emotions, just know that that's okay, all right? If you need to, please take a step back. You're not alone, and support is available if you need it. MindTribe services are available if you would like to explore this further. And here is our structure for this workshop, 4 parts. So the first one, we're going to explore a lot on trauma. And then part 2, we're going to get into the thick of it. What is post-traumatic growth? And then we'll go into some long-term practices that can help you all build growth and purpose. And finally, we'll delve into some more practical applications that you can use starting today itself. We'll aim to finish this by 1 p.m. So like I said, if you guys, want to take notes, that's fine. Just no recordings, please. Grab a cup of tea, hot chocolate, water, whatever. And, let's begin this together. So let's begin this gently, right? If it's in the chat or you guys would like to raise your hand, I'd love to hear what is one small thing that helped you get through a tough day recently. Okay? It could be a warm cup of tea, a song, a friend's message, anything. It can be big or small, whatever you feel comfortable sharing. And this is to help remind us that healing often begins with the little things. Barson Jolly says yoga and gym. Oh, I respect you so much for that. I need to start. I always say I'm going to do yoga in the gym. So well done to you for doing that. Venting to a friend, Namrata says, yep, that can be so helpful to have someone that understands. Anand says, sketching. Oh, the lovely creative release. Sakshi says crying. Oh, yes. Crying can do so much good for us when there's so much pent-up emotions. Akshita says, reading my favorite book. Oh, lovely. Yeah, just that comfort, right, that you need. Prachi says, writing poems. Wow. Okay, that is amazing. I love reading poems. So writing poems is a different ball game for me. It's a great way. Kritika says, deep breathing and dark chocolates. Yes, I'm the same there. Convi says, my niece. Oh, that's lovely. You know, someone close to you is able to give you that breather. Abhilasha says art and music, great. Pranjal says food. Anamika says talking to my best friend and weeping a lot helped me. Oh, yes, it's just that physical release from crying and having that someone that understands you, right? Saying taking a nap, yep, you need that rest. Music and ignorance. Yeah, you know, sometimes ignorance is bliss can be a good temporary way to get through the day. Sai says, some me time and being there for myself, very important. That is so important to learn how to be, you know, your own source of comfort. Listening to music, sketching while I was hurt and crying. Oh, yes. Again, just that creative and emotional release. Working out, yes, great. Dancing, oh, yes. There's so much studies on that, like dancing, the amount of release that you get from that. Again, taking a nap, sharing to your partner. Journaling, yeah, that is also a really, really wonderful mindful practice to keep. Taking a walk in the park, yes. Reading books, sleeping a peaceful nap, sometimes talking to my friend. Spirituality, yeah, that can be different for everyone, right? So whatever helps you feel connected to something bigger than yourself that makes you feel comforted, that is a great way to cope. Watching comedy and laughing and crying too. Yep, that's great. A little bit of self-care. Oh yes, self-care. It's talking to ChatGPT. Okay, that one's new. Okay, I'm glad that's working out for you, Samaya. Cooking and listening to music and spirituality. Oh, this was, I loved reading all of this, guys. Thank you so much. You know, sounds like you all have your own ways, your own little rituals of getting through tough times. And it's lovely to read that. And hopefully you guys can continue on with this because a lot of, I mean, I'd say everything you guys have said is already, I would say, good job. You know, I don't see much anything wrong with any of this. So well done with that. So how do you handle when we get to, oh, you know what? I'll tell you that at the very end, okay? This is the focus of this workshop, so all of you guys, it's not on me. But you know, I will say a lot of what you've said. I do I do use quite a lot of what you guys have said as well. But if any of you guys would like to hear what I do after, feel free to stay back. Okay, so that's all right. We shall move on to the next one. I'll just hear taking myself out for a solo date. Oh, I love that. Absolutely love that. All right, so we're going to get a bit into the thick of trauma. So let's first bust some common myths about trauma, as there can be a lot of misconceptions about it, right? So before we explore it, let's see what it is not. So myth number one, trauma only happens to people who experience extreme events or violence. That's not true. Trauma is subjective. You know, it can stem from anything that overwhelms your ability to cope, like emotional neglect, breakups, medical diagnoses, bullying. The next myth is all painful experiences are traumatic. So not every upsetting experience can lead to trauma. Trauma happens when, again, your nervous system doesn't have the support that it needs to process a distressing event. Myth three is people should just move on, get over it. I'm sure a lot of you know that that's not true. Healing takes time. Everyone has their own pace and process, and that's okay. Our fourth myth is trauma breaks you permanently. So trauma is painful, yes, but many people recover and even grow from it. They reach a higher level of well-being than they were before. And hopefully all of you can see that possibility from this workshop by the end of it. And the last myth is time heals all wounds and trauma. So don't get me wrong, time does help, it really does. But active healing, you know, whether it's through therapy, support, or self-work, can make a much deeper difference. So let's get into what is trauma. Trauma is an emotional response to a deeply distressing or disturbing event. that overwhelms your ability to cope. Its origins can come from many, many possibilities, many things, and sometimes it can be an accumulation of many negative experiences. You know, it doesn't just live in the past, it lives in our bodies, our thoughts, and relationships. You know, trauma is not weakness, it's your body trying to protect you. And we'll go a bit into how that works. So, the effects of trauma. Let's talk a bit deeply about how trauma impacts our emotional and mental worlds. So, emotionally, trauma can leave lasting imprints. You may feel waves of anxiety, depression, or a vague sense that something bad is always going to happen. You know, it can be difficult to feel safe when you start to feel happy. There may be deep guilt or shame, even if logically you know it's not your fault. Some people experience emotional numbness or detachment. You know, it's a sense of being disconnected from your own feelings, like watching life from behind a screen. And cognitively, trauma can also change the way you think. It can come in the form of intrusive thoughts, you know, unwanted images or flashbacks. There can be cognitive fog, so you might struggle to concentrate, to remember things, or make decisions. You know, you might think, this is such an easy decision. Why can't I make a decision? That could be a result of trauma that has now changed the way you think or how safe you feel with your own decisions. And just remember, these symptoms are not personal failures. They're just survival mechanisms. You know, your nervous system is trying to protect you by overreacting. So understanding this is the first step to reclaiming your narrative. Bilasha says, government words trauma is not what happened, it's what's changed inside of you as a result of what happened. Yes, exactly, right? It's the way you processed it, the way your mind and body had processed it. Ashwarya says, why those hurtful words said by someone who's irrelevant even ages ago echo every time bad thing happens in the present? Yeah, it's one of those mysteries, right? Of, you know, this person, this thing should not matter to me so much. Why is it still affecting me? And this might be, again, a way that something that you weren't able to process at the time. There might be something deeper as well that had happened, which made this person's hurtful words stick, you know, even more intensely, and it still affects you to this day. So thank you for sharing that, Ashwarya. And for the next one, so trauma also reshapes how we behave and how our bodies feel. So behaviorally, trauma can lead to withdrawal. Maybe some of you have experienced this, you know, isolating from people, even those that you care about, because closeness can feel unsafe. You know, there can be avoidance, staying away from places, conversations, or activities, or even thoughts that remind you of that pain. Again, this is all like your body, your mind trying to protect you. You know, you are trying, your mind doesn't want you to be in pain constantly. So it develops all these mechanisms to try to navigate that, but it actually leads to a lot more difficulties in life, doesn't it? And then physically, trauma often lives in the body. You know, many survivors, they experience hypervigilance. They constantly feel like they're on edge, as if something bad's gonna happen any second. You know, you might have physical symptoms like tense muscles, frequent headaches, or digestive issues. They're very common. You might struggle with insomnia, yeah, can't sleep well, vivid dreams. You might feel exhausted all the time, even though technically you slept your whole 8 hours or whatever. These are all parts of, you know, your mind and body reacting to it. These symptoms are your body's alarm system, you know, and with awareness and support, we can begin to turn the volume a little down. Sumaya says, and I struggle all of the written effects. Tell me what you mean by written effects, Maya. I'm not sure I quite understand. I'll let you get to that if you'd like. And in the meantime, I'll just go on to the next slide. Feel free to write it down, Sumaya, what you meant by written effects. I'm not 100%. Oh, there, the text you were on the slide. Oh, okay, I see. Right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. So all of this is unfortunately very common for people that have gone through trauma, you know. you might experience it too. Oh no, it's okay. You don't have to apologize for the confusion. It's okay. It's all about community. Like, I'll ask if I don't understand. You explain. No harm, no foul. But yeah, maybe a lot of you also recognize these symptoms in yourselves. That might be to different degrees. Maybe you experience more physical symptoms. Maybe some of you experience more emotional symptoms. It's all valid. It's all real. And I know it sucks. It's awful, right, to have to live like this. But that's where post-traumatic growth can come in. So first, before we do it, let's reflect, okay? Think of a past challenge or a difficult time. How has that changed you? I know this might be a bit of a difficult question, so I'll give you guys a minute if you want to share. It can be in a good way or a bad way. If you think that you became more resilient, if you became more empathetic to other people, or if you felt that it made it difficult for you to trust people. And John says, I have become lately detached to many people in my life. I'm sorry to hear that, Gunjan. And again, that is a very common response to trauma and painful experiences and adversity. When something happens that really shakes your core, something really negative, something traumatic, it's difficult to feel that sense of safety with the world, with people, and yourself. And sometimes you might think that being detached, sometimes it's a conscious effort, sometimes unconscious, but it's, again, a sort of way of protecting yourself from any more potential pain. And Abhilasha says, I do this too, apologize and think too much at times. Kanvi says, aware to self and others, empathic, control over self, emotions better. Wow, that is really powerful, Kanvi. And it's not easy to get to that point, so well done. Shwastaswati says, made me more prepared for new bad things that may happen. Yeah, your nervous system goes into overdrive, right? You're like, this was painful. I do not want to go through this again. Let's prepare for any bad potential situations. Vani says, less responsive to pain. I see, right. So it sounds like a bit like of a numbing. That's what's happened there. Nishita says, I'm detached and I can't trust anybody now. Somehow fear a lot and protect myself a lot. Again, that is very common, of detaching yourself and feeling like you can't trust, can't open up to anyone. So I'm sorry, like, for what you've gone through, Shita. Another one says, I don't open up about my feelings anymore. Yeah, it's that lack of feeling of safety and trust, right? It has become really difficult to trust people and silence around me. Yep. I had a negative impact, really. I self-isolate a lot and suffer from anger issues whenever something happens which triggers my trauma. Yes, that's also a very common thing that you said, especially with the anger issues. Anger is a secondary emotion. So sometimes when you're not feeling safe, when you feel unheard, anger comes up from that frustration. I see there's a couple of more. Please continue to share. I want to make sure that I don't stretch this way over time. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. It became hard for me to go out and talk to people, selective with whom I share my personal information with. Yeah. Always on alert for things to go wrong. Yeah, you're always prepared, right? You're prepared that something's going to go wrong. You don't think that you can be happy safely. Sabotage my previous possibility of romantic relationship, my best friend. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that, Ritika. Again, it's these sort of, they start out as safety behaviors, right? All these symptoms from trauma, but unfortunately, they can actually lead to more harm than good. Thank you for sharing that. Was over-explaining, over-apologizing. Yes, oh my goodness. Like, I didn't say this earlier, but people-pleasing tendencies can also come out from trauma as well. So, over-apologizing, over-explaining to make sure no one is cross with you, everyone is seeing you in a good way. That's really common as well. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Ashmita, go ahead. Was there anything you wanted to share? Okay. Right. So, yeah, a lot of you guys have really gone through so much. Like, I'm looking at all of the other comments. I'm sorry I can't get to each of them right now. Dr. Anna might be able to, answer to any of your comments here. But thank you so much for sharing this. Prathia says, growing up, I saw a very unstable home environment, my parents, and not a very happy marriage that caused me deep emotional trauma and even shaped what I am and what I do to this day. My whole perception of love and marriage and relationships changed because of that. That is, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that, Preeti. It can really mess you up, can't it? Like what you grew up with in such an unstable environment, to see all of that. If you didn't see anything except instability, how are you going to feel safe to explore marriage now? Thank you so much for sharing that, and all of you guys as well. So yeah, it's clear, like, your past traumas, your adversities, your challenges, your pain, they have changed you. They have affected you a lot. Thank you for sharing that. Now let's go forward into what hopefully I hope you guys can develop moving forward, which is post-traumatic growth. So what is post-traumatic growth? It is the positive psychological change that can happen when someone works through their trauma and adversity. So I want to make it clear, it doesn't mean the trauma was worth it, okay, or that you have to be glad it happened. But it means that through the struggle, some people, and I hope that all of you here will be able to discover new strengths, perspectives, or values and purpose that maybe you didn't notice before. Trauma, like as I've said, it can shake the foundation of how you see yourselves, other people, and the world. But when people are supported and given space to reflect and heal, they may start to rebuild, sometimes in really deep and intentional ways. Post-traumatic growth, and there may be times I'll say PTG, okay, just letting you guys know. Post-traumatic growth is not about denying pain, it's about what coexists with it. All right, so one example of it could be, this one guy was laid off unexpectedly, went through a lot of deep anxiety, self-doubt, identity confusion, but over time, as they processed what happened, they realized that they were burnt out and completely disconnected from their values. So eventually they found a job that's more aligned with their passions. They start to prioritize their mental health. The trauma did not disappear, but they grew from it. They started to focus on themselves and became the best version they could be. Now let's go into deeper depth, and I'll, put in a lot more examples to make it a bit clearer to you guys. So first, let's go into what can help growth happen. Growth doesn't happen by accident. Several factors make it possible. So you have coping strategies, active reflection, therapy, art, movement. A lot of what you guys have said you do already. So anything that can help express and explore that pain. And, processing at your own pace and staying hopeful can open the door to healing. And the fact that all you guys are here already kind of shows you're on that path. You have that hope of supporting yourself, and you deserve to support yourself and heal. Next, we have social support. Very important. Just having that one person who understands you can make the biggest difference in the world. It can make you feel less alone. Even if you've been hurt by people, new supportive relationships can feel healing and corrective. I know it's not easy to find those people, but once you do, oh my gosh, the world just gets better. And then we have personality traits and mindsets. More importantly, I'd say mindsets. Okay. So openness, curiosity, even a little sense of hope can plant the seed to facilitate growth from trauma. But these don't have to be natural strengths, okay? They can be cultivated. You can develop them. You don't have to be born with them, right? And to any of you guys that, still feel like you're in survival mode, you don't have these strategies yet, that's okay, right? Growth begins with just a little whisper. And Samaya says, I can't trust people I know. I have ChatGPT as my social support, and trust me so much. You know what? Whatever works for you. ChatGPT, I don't think we should put in the back burner. I mean, as a mental health professional, maybe I should be a bit cautious about it, but if ChatGPT helps you, it gives you the support you need that no one else does, it is able to make you feel heard and understood, great. Like, you all deserve to not feel alone in your struggles. So these are the 5 domains of post-traumatic growth. Just to keep it time, I might go a bit quickly in them, but this is just to let you guys know, to keep you guys informed on what you might be able to develop. So the first is increased personal strength. I think some of you guys also did mention this. Many trauma survivors discover strength that they didn't know they had. One example could be a paraplegic patient learning to navigate life in a new body. They build strength, persistence, and pride in their resilience. You don't realize how strong you are until strength is the only option you have. And, personally, it does make me a bit sad when people have to be so strong, because it means they're going through so much. But the silver lining is, it means that you did have that, that inner strength in you to move forward. Yes, in an ideal world, you did not need to be that strong for yourself. But, we have to take life with what it gives us. And if what it gives us is you realizing that you have much more emotional strength than you thought you had, amazing. It is a testament to human will and survival. And so to the next one is improved relationships. Maybe some of you have seen this, trauma can deepen our appreciation for the people who stand by us. After a crisis, people often realize who was really there for them. You might develop more compassion and appreciation for your relationships. Relationships that felt superficial, they might shift, they might end, but others might become more meaningful. So what you can see is, with cancer survivors, they might feel a new level of gratitude for friends and family who stayed and helped them. Pain, while it's awful and it strips away a lot of you, what doesn't matter, it also reveals who truly does matter in your life and who really will be there for you through thick and thin. And then we have appreciation of life. So many survivors describe feeling more present and grateful after trauma. Trauma can change how we see the world. And often it leads to a deeper gratitude for the present moment, more empathy and compassion for other people. I think some of you said, well, you develop more empathy because you have been through so much. You've seen that pain. You know what it's like to have no one believe you, be there for you, understand you. And so what you can give to other people that might be going through the same thing or a similar thing. And that is absolutely beautiful, That's the best thing humans can do for each other. One example is, natural disaster survivors, they might have a deeper appreciation for life's intangible, non-material things like family, safety, health, support. It's reevaluating what is the most important to you. And next we have spiritual development. And some of you did mention spirituality as well, so I was really happy to see that. Spirituality doesn't have to mean religion. It can be a sense of purpose, connection to something greater, or faith in human resilience. After trauma, you might question your values, your beliefs, and what matters most to you, and what can you do to find comfort in living forward. There have been studies that, cases that they found with Holocaust survivors that found a lot of resilience in their faith, or, they held this belief that they can honor their loved ones by living meaningful lives, in their stead. Again, it's a testament to growing, making good use of a really terrible situation. Muncie says, I want to do spiritual healing, but I don't know, I'm not aware of it. That's completely fine, that's fair. It is a very personal thing. It can look different for everyone. For some, it's religion. For some with spirituality, it can be connecting with nature, going into meditation and mindfulness. And there's a lot on it that you can find online. So I hope that you're able to explore that. Monty, so can you explain it more? Right. So, okay, I see that some people are. We have. So yes, me too. Reading the Bhagavad Gita has been quite helpful. It's like a guide to life. Right. So with spirituality, okay, so let's take, for example, meditation, right? It can be seen as a form of spirituality. So meditation is all about being mindful of yourself, of the environment around you, and to feel connected to the earth, feeling connected to your world, connected to yourself and what you need. It's a bit of an abstract thing to explain, to be honest, spirituality, and I guess a lot of people might be able to get that when I say it. And it can look differently for everyone. But with meditation, you start to feel this sense of calm and peace with whatever life hands you, okay? So, right, bad things are going to keep on happening. That is the way of the world, but I know my place in the world. I know that I'll be able to get through it. And a lot of people are also, so a lot of people are also kind of writing whatever else that helps them. That's great. So I try to meditate, but I struggle being consistent. That's fair. Like with meditation, I would suggest, you can just start with like a 5-minute meditation every day, whether it's first thing in the morning or last thing at night, and see how that goes. All right. So, and if you guys have any more questions, my co-host should be able to answer them. Moving forward, discovery of new possibilities. So this one's a bit of a daunting one, I know. So trauma can, often interrupt the path we were on. We had a plan in life. Trauma kind of made that go away sometimes. But in that aftermath, some people can find unexpected doors that open. Burn survivors, they go on to become motivational speakers and start advocacy groups. People who've experienced loss, they might start new careers. They might try something that they always wanted to try, but were always too afraid of. But this trauma made them reevaluate, what? I want to do whatever I can in this life. So even if it's something small, like Monty, like if it's just to meditate every day, or just try a little bit of meditation to look into mindfulness, for example. That is a new possibility for you. And I hope that each of you will be able to explore something like that. So I know I spoke a lot about everything these 5 domains, right? So I just want to hear from you guys. What did you guys relate to most? I'll put it in the chat again. So increased personal strength, improved relationships, appreciation of life, spiritual development, or discovery of new possibilities. Do any of you guys relate to any of these domains so far? And if not, is there anything you would like to look into that you would like to develop? Appreciation, Kanvi. That's great. It is so important, right, to feel that connection with even just the little joys in life. Anam says improved personal growth. Great. Discovery of new possibilities. Wonderful. I live abroad, and most of the time when I feel lonely, I get flashbacks. Oh, I'm sorry. That sounds really difficult, especially if you're abroad, you don't know a lot of people there. Monty, if you would like, MindTribe does have a lot of services that might be able to help you if you're getting a lot of flashbacks and if it's actually interrupting your daily life. Okay. Appreciation of life, increased personal strength. Yeah, a lot of increased personal strength and growth. Priyanka says all of these. Wonderful. Gratitude and spirituality, increased personal growth. Yeah, there's so many possibilities to be able to grow from this. And sometimes it happens automatically. Sometimes you do have to do a bit of work on yourself to be able to get there. And that's okay. Like I said, everyone heals from trauma at their own space. My co-host just put in a few meditation techniques, so feel free to look into that, guys. Might be good to try it out. All right, so let's move on to the next one. So we are now on the third part of building growth and purpose. These are more long-term things that you could try, look into, right? And two really powerful tools to support your growth are meaning making and emotional regulation. So let's first go into meaning making, okay? So this involves making sense of the traumatic experience and integrating it into your story, right? So it doesn't mean excusing the pain, it means finding agency. So with what you've gone through, ask yourself, okay, this has happened. What can I learn? How can I potentially grow? What does it mean for the kind of life I want to live? I know that, when we experience trauma, you might start to believe the world isn't safe. I can't trust anyone. Nothing matters anymore. Meaning making can help you rebuild a sense of direction. So, for example, if someone went through a really abusive and toxic relationship, yes, that was incredibly painful, but it could show them and make them think, okay, this is not the kind of relationship I want. It is not the relationship that I deserve to go through. And I know what I actually do deserve. All right. I deserve to be in a healthy relationship where I feel safe, where I feel comforted, where I can be playful with my partner. You know, that's kind of what meaning making is. So take what pain you have gone through and try to turn it into something that can improve your well-being. What lessons can you learn from that? um, and again, it's not to justify what happened. Okay, sometimes a lot of our trauma was completely out of our control. A lot of the times it's completely out of our control. So meaning making is to help you gain a small sense of control again. And then with emotional regulation, really important, to learn to self-regulate. It's about managing intense emotions like fear, anger, or grief without becoming overwhelmed. So there are a few skills that you could use for emotional regulation. One is called grounding. So this is, and we'll do a bit of grounding later on in the workshop. So it's to use the senses around you, pay attention to your body, whenever you start to feel distress. Okay, so where am I feeling this pain? Do I feel it physically in my chest? Um, right, so another example of meaning making, sorry. Yes, so with another example of meaning making could be, all right, so after you went through an illness, let's say, okay, you might realize, okay, that was horrible. There might be long-term effects, whatever. What can I take away from this? All right, maybe I was ignoring my body's health. Maybe I wasn't taking good care of it. So from now on, let's see what I can do to take better care of it. Maybe I'll eat healthier. Maybe I'll sleep more, sleep earlier, wake up early. Maybe I'll go for daily walks, things like that. Hope that makes sense, Abhilasha. Great. We'll do a short little meaning making exercise after, just make it a bit, hopefully to make it a little easier. I know that's a bit of an abstract term. And yeah, so with emotional regulation, you also have breath work. So that's slow, conscious breathing to signal safety to your body. It slows down the nervous system and you can return to equilibrium. Oh, and Kanvi says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. Yes, exactly. That is a great way for emotional regulation. And moving forward, we have the role of social support. So this can be, as simple as talking to someone and having them say, I believe you, or I'm sorry this happened to you. Whether it's a family or a friend or group therapy, if you join a group or support circle that helps reduce the feeling of isolation and normalize your experience, it does wonders for your growth and well-being. It's scary to start. I completely get it. It is scary to start and open up, especially when you feel like it's not safe to open up. But once you're able to find that person that gets you and makes you feel not alone, it can really help in your healing. And there's a lot of, research in that. And of course, I have to say, therapy. It is a safe space where your story is held without judgment. And there are all sorts of therapy that can specifically target post-traumatic growth, like CBT, logotherapy, narrative therapy. And these are things, that can really provide you with the tools and structure for safety to connect the dots of your trauma. How can you make meaning out of it? How can you, find growth and appreciation from it? It takes time, but it can help gain perspective, and in the long run can really help you heal. And let me just look at okay, I see that. Right, my co-host is answering some questions. If you guys have any questions, please continue to put in the chat. I'm just being a bit mindful of the time, so I don't want to keep you guys here for too long. Right, so this is a bit of a meaning-making exercise, okay? So think about a past challenge. It can be about the ones you thought of earlier as well, and ask yourself, what strengths did I show? Was it perseverance? Was it courage, patience, empathy, or even just survival, just surviving that experience? So, I'll give you guys a minute if you'd like to share what strengths did you show by getting through whatever challenge it was. Monty says, when I do self-care to feel better. Okay. Hamdi says courage, survival, awareness, acceptance. Yep. These are all really amazing traits that you've developed from that experience. Surviving it, building more awareness, accepting it, and being courageous through it. Resilience. Yep, that is a huge part of post-traumatic growth. Patience. Yep, that is a difficult one to build. Well done, Anam. Abhilasha says, initially survive, moving towards self-love. Yes, that is wonderful to hear. And self-love is difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It is difficult. But it is so incredible when you take the steps towards it and when you get closer towards it. It really does help in coping for future future pain, future trauma. Courageous and getting less affected by people's words. Yep. It's another great strength to develop. Inner strength and courage. Yep, that is really beautiful. To still trust over. Yes, Namrata, to still have the courage, I would say, to still trust, despite what it is you've gone through. Of course, I don't know each of your stories, but reading all of this, being independent, patience, acceptance and letting it go, making boundaries. These are all amazing meanings that you are making from the awful things you've gone through. Trying to be kind and loving with my friends. Oh, that is really great to hear, Mansi. And, I hope that you're able to continue doing that, especially with you living abroad. I hope you're still able to find that connection with them. I'm starting to stand up for myself against my narcissistic father because I don't want to become like him. Wow, that takes a lot of strength, a lot of awareness. Thank you for sharing that, Shiza. Acceptance and growth. I feel more connected to my own self, which is something I was totally not paying attention to. Yeah. And you know what? It is fine. It is fine that if you feel like, oh, up until now, I've not done anything. I'm only starting now. It doesn't matter when you start, as long as you do. Drawing boundaries, focusing on self-love, courage, survival, patient resilience, self-love, and acceptance. Yep. Patience and being dependent. Oh, no worries at all, Monty. Thank you for sharing. All of you, thank you so much for sharing. I mean it. I love reading this. I love reading about your experiences. Is it okay to hate people and becoming bitter? But it's not what I want, but I can't avoid this thought and feeling coming up. So not resisting is very painful. Yeah, what you're describing, I think that you are still in the thick of what you've gone through. It's still very raw, all of the trauma and the feelings that you've gone through. And this is quite common, actually. Your mind is reacting. You want to, it's kind of, again, it's your mind here protecting you from more pain. So hopefully with more of what we talk about in the workshop, you'll be able to find ways to, grow from this. But thank you for sharing that, Richa. And I'm sorry that, even though you don't want it, it's something that you keep feeling. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. Please continue to. I'll move on to the next one to keep time. Oh, yes. And we have a little ad break. I'll be quick with this. So here at MindTribe, we provide one-to-one counseling. It's personalized, confidential sessions between the client and therapist. And you can address any issues, whether it's from anxiety, stress, or trauma, like how we're looking at here. If you want to go into post-traumatic growth, that's something we definitely work with. And you will be able to, set goals and reach a better version of yourself. The main misconception with counseling is that it's only for those who are sick. Obviously, that can't be further from the truth. Counseling is for anyone who wants to be their best version, whether it's in terms of relationships, friends, career, academic success. And here in MindTribe, all of our counselors are highly trained and experienced. You can book your first session for just ₹99, and following sessions can range from ₹800 to ₹2,400, depends on the therapist's seniority. We also have affordable packages for booking the therapist to make your investment in your mental health easier. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Feel free to put it. Oh, I see Abhilash is saying he to monitor for rating these sessions for us. Oh, wonderful. Yes, any questions that you have, please feel free to put in the chat box. I'll leave it to my co-host to answer them. All right, so now we're going to go into the more short-term, like what you can do starting from today, strategies or activities to hopefully, in the long term, help with your personal growth. So after trauma, many people discover new paths, right? We kind of just talked a little bit about this with the 5 domains of PTG. So this doesn't mean forgetting the pain. It means pain can shake us free from old patterns and awaken a desire for something more. So growth can mean seeing life through a new lens. It's not about forgetting that pain, all right? That pain did happen to you. It was real. But you can still find new meaning and opportunities from it. So I would say, to ask yourself, you guys don't have to answer this, don't worry. But I would say just ask yourself this, all right, what did I used to dream about? What did I want to do, but I never did? What part of me feels more alive after my experiences, whether it's being more compassionate, whether it's working on self-love, you feel a lot more passionate about focusing on yourself, focusing on your friends, trying to learn something new, a new skill, trying to focus on your health. And what am I free to explore now? What are the possibilities that you can see right now? It can be something very simple. It can be just, let me try to read a new book. Let me try a different genre that I've never tried before. Let me try to go for a short walk every day. Let me try to reconnect with an old friend, that I've been meaning to do, but I haven't done because for whatever reason. There's all sorts of possibilities that you can try that when you look back, you might realize that was actually a good thing that I did. It did help me later on. So these are really simple little things. And I hope that you guys can take them home with you and just think about what's a possibility for you to do next. Doesn't matter how small, how big. It's personal for you. And I hope that you can try it out. And next, so I am going to bring this back to you guys. What does growth look like for you? Okay. This can, be anything like asking for help instead of pushing people away. Or in the future, I would like to let myself rest without feeling guilty. I want to wake up without feeling angry or sad. So take a minute. I would love to hear, what you guys think would be, I guess, a better version of you in the future. Ritika says, having healthy boundaries. Oh, wonderful. That is difficult. Again, not going to sugarcoat that it is difficult, but it is amazing when you do it. And, well done, Ritika, for recognizing that's something you want. Oh, thanks, Abhilasha. Less regrets. Yep, that is also a hard one, isn't it? Less regrets, but it is possible. It's all about building self-awareness, you know? What do you want? What are you willing to tolerate? What do you deserve? What can you try to do to live your life with less regrets? Convey says happiness, peace, learning to love myself. Yes, I think that that's fair. I think everyone wants that. Wonderful. Acceptance and success, right? Yeah. Whatever your definition is of success and acceptance, I hope that you're able to work towards that. Happy and excited for little things in life and content inside. Yeah. Yes, the little things in life, it's so easy to get lost in the big picture and thinking, oh, 10 years from now, I should have this and that. But, to focus a little bit on the present as well. Like, what do I have? Like, why don't I look outside, look at the weather? I see plants there. I'm able to reconnect with a friend. I'm able to try a new recipe. Yeah, just the little things. Accepting oneself as I am despite having flaws and loving myself more and more. Yes, that is the epitome of accepting yourself. Recognizing who you are, what you've been through, flaws and all, and still loving yourself. That is what you deserve. Amazing. Being able to do what I set out to do. Yeah, that can be daunting, isn't it? But you won't know until you try doing what you set out to do. Setting boundaries without guilt. Yes, that guilt is, if I could put that like on a billboard, setting boundaries without guilt, I would do that. Being a bit mindful, it can help me prevent overthinking. Yes, mindful. There's a lot of mindfulness videos on YouTube, I would say, Tashu, to help with overthinking. And it takes practice, but I really encourage you to try that. I have not achieved healthy boundaries, but I want to. Yeah, it takes time. It takes work. Sometimes, you'll take 2 steps forward and you feel like you take 1 step back. That's okay. Like, take it at everyone, like, whatever your growth looks like, let it be at your own pace. If you falter every once in a while, that's okay. You can get back up. That's the whole thing, with new possibilities. Don't give up on yourself. Keep trying. All right. So lovely, like everything that all of you guys are writing. And again, I'm so sorry, but to keep it time, I will be moving forward. But thank you for sharing. Continue to share, for everyone else to read it as well. To know that none of you guys are alone in wanting to, have growth in your lives. And I'm sure you guys have already thought of this, but this is just, you don't have to answer this. It's just for you guys to think about, in the future. How would I describe my healing journey so far? This is to recognize the strengths you've developed. What signs of growth am I proud of, even if no one else can see them? At the end of the day, the most important thing with growth is not for the people around you, it's for you. All right. Each of you deserves to feel safe, comfortable, and content with your life. And part of that is to recognize how far you've come. And you guys have come so far from all that I've read. So well done with that. I should move on to the next slide now. So this is a very crucial one in post-traumatic growth. Self-compassion is the foundation of recovery. Why? Because healing is hard. And if you beat yourself up the whole way, the journey is going to be even harder. So it's about learning to replace self-criticism with supportive statements. It's to recognize that imperfection is part of the human experience. I know we all love to be perfect. Like, I wish I was perfect, but no one has been perfect. No one ever will be perfect. All you can do is just try your best. And again, with the questions in the previous slide, to reflect on what you've done so far. Now, self-compassion also means to be mindful, acknowledge your suffering, your struggles, without ignoring it or judging it. It's to recognize the common humanity of knowing you are not alone in this. All of you that are here, you know that you're not alone in this. And the most important is to offer kindness to yourself. Speak to yourself the way you'd speak to a friend in pain, to the way you need to be spoken to. I would say, If you guys are struggling with self-compassion, just try this. Think to yourself, I am allowed to struggle and still be worthy of love. Okay? With all of your flaws, with all of your pain, with how impossible it might feel to ever overcome this, it's okay to struggle. Okay? And you can still, you are, all of you, I mean this, you are all worthy of love. Okay? Let's move on to the next one. Now, so we're getting towards the end. Set intentions for growth. So let's pause here for a moment in our journey. We've spoken about pain, we've explored strength, we've looked at how healing doesn't always mean returning to who we were. So this slide is an invitation to all of you, an invitation to set an intention on what to do. It's a gentle guide for your growth journey. Okay, it's to set small, meaningful intentions that can help with practical steps forward. So here are some examples. I will treat myself with kindness when I face challenges. I want to reconnect with joy, even in small moments. I will notice when I'm being hard on myself and pause. If you'd like, you can take a moment to write your own. You don't have to in the chat box, but these are things to always carry with you. All right. It is something that, I see Convi says, you are powerful and full of potential. Yes. Yes, that is amazing. You are great and you are doing well. Keep it. Yes. And all of you guys, I hope that, if you have to, write this down somewhere where you'll see it every day, whether it's on your fridge, on your desk, in your phone somewhere. It is to encourage yourself to keep going. If, I don't know what the situation is for a lot of you people, but, if you feel like no one else has encouraged you, I know this sounds cheesy, but let yourself be your own cheerleader. Let these intentions be what encourages you. You are doing better than you ever thought yourself capable of. Be proud. Yes. You are brave and bold. I have it as my lock screen. Oh, yes, that's exactly what you should do, Prachi. Like, take note, guys. This is how you make sure you always see it. You make sure it encourages you and builds your self-love. This is one way to build your self-love, actually, setting intentions for growth. Wonderful. Thank you guys for sharing. And I just want to say, you don't need to have everything figured out now. This is just the start of a new chapter, and it is all on your own terms. No one else can have a say in this. It is just you. And now, very quickly, we'll do a little vision exercise, okay? This is just, again, to bring it all in. So just imagine it's 1 year from now. You've taken small steps towards healing. You're taking all these new intentions. You're building on self-compassion. You're focusing on your growth. So what does that version of you look like? Just try to have a think about it. If any of you guys want to share, that's great. If you don't want to share, that's okay. I know it might be difficult to imagine this person a year from now that is, further along in their journey of healing. But if you can, what would they say to you now? Would they say, thank you for starting? Would they say, I know it's difficult, but you can get through this? Anticosta's calm and self-composed. Yep. I think that's the same for me as well. Nishita says happy and more alive. Right. And what you guys are thinking of your potential future self, these are very possible. I have seen it. Okay. You have that, and sometimes you actually might be even further along than what you imagined. As long as you try all of these things that I've said, okay, and even more. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of therapy you can also try to do, and you can reach a level of yourself you never thought was possible. Happy and confident. Yeah. Believe in yourself. Only you can save yourself, so you have to come out of your comfort zone and actually take a step towards positive change. Yeah, that's great. Oh, Richard says, I can't see the slide, please. Oh, it literally just says, to do a little vision exercise, Richard. So it's just to imagine the version of you a year from now that has taken steps towards healing, and just to think of what that looks like. Huh, it's weird you can't see the slide. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not quite sure what's happening, if it's my internet or something. All right, let me move on to the next slide. Let me know if you can see that, okay? So since we're short on time, I am going to just read this through and hope, thank you guys. I'll just read this through and hopefully you guys can just see what you can take away from it. So Soumya, a 40-year-old mother, left an abusive marriage after years of emotional, sexual, and physical trauma. Through therapy, she rebuilt her life. She became kinder to herself, no longer blaming herself for the past, but recognizing her survival as a reflection of her strength. By identifying new possibilities, she pursued higher education and joined a support group for other survivors. She also developed a stronger sense of self-worth, appreciating her supportive relationships, and set intentions for growth by rebuilding trust in herself and reconnecting with her dreams. So, Soumya's journey is one of many possible versions of post-traumatic growth. It doesn't mean the trauma was erased, okay? But it means that something new was able to grow from that pain. And for each of you, growth might look completely different. It might be saying no, like you said, a lot of you had said, putting boundaries and not feeling guilty. It might be, letting someone in, getting close to someone again. It might be finally resting, giving yourself, some me time, some self-care. Or it might just be showing up here today in this workshop. Wherever you are, that's okay. You don't have to do this alone. All right, so we're going to the last big slide. We're almost done, guys, don't worry. Just something to reflect on. What is one compassionate step you can take to support your growth forward? And as I always say, it can be something very small. It can be something big, a big goal that you have. Just have a think of it, like from today onwards, for this week, for this month, what do you think would be a good compassionate step to support yourself, to get you to that version that you imagine a year from now? I will say to myself, you did it. You walked through the storm and found your light again. I'm proud of your strength, your softness, and the way you chose healing, even when it was hard. Yes, that is such a beautiful, powerful, sorry, everyone, I'm back. I'm not sure where I was, but what I was saying is, tough times will still come. Part of post-traumatic growth is that you will have the tools by then to get through it and be even stronger. So thank you guys for letting me know I was muted. All right, so, oh yes, this too shall pass. That is actually a really profound statement, Bad things unfortunately keep happening to everyone every day. They come and go. But you guys have gone through it so far, and you will get through it again. And hopefully, by the next time, you would be utilizing more of the steps we've talked about today, and it'll feel a bit easier. All right, so thank you so much, everyone, for contributing. Let's move on to, if you guys would like, let's take a little mindfulness break. So I did speak about earlier on emotional regulation, on breath work and mindfulness. If you guys would like, we could just do a 2 to 3 minute meditation. You can give me a thumbs up or anything you guys would like. Yeah. Okay, great. If not, you guys can just use this as a time to, Kritika. So I'll show you that at the end of the workshop, okay? So just stay back and I can show you that. All right, everyone. So let's take a pause. Begin by gently closing your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly exhale through your mouth. Let's do that again. In through the nose and out. Allow your body to settle. However it is right now is okay. Now, bring your attention to your feet on the floor. Feel the ground holding you, supporting you. You don't need to do anything. Just notice the weight of your body being held. Now, bring your awareness to your heart. Imagine your heart as a gentle witness, carrying the story and the pain of all you have lived through. Your heart has been with you through the pain, the moments of survival, the small steps forward. Now, silently repeat to yourself, like a whisper from your wiser self. It's okay to feel what I feel. I have carried a lot, and I am still here. Healing takes time. I give myself permission to grow gently. Imagine now that somewhere within you, a small seed has been planted. The seed is not forced to bloom overnight. It's just there, resting in the soil of your experience, nourished by every moment of awareness, every act of care. It knows how to grow, and it will grow in its own time. Breathe in and imagine offering kindness to yourself. Breathe out, releasing any harshness or pressure. Breathe in possibility. Breathe out anything heavy you don't need to carry anymore. Now, gently bring attention back to the room. Wiggle your fingers or toes. Notice what has shifted, even slightly. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes slowly. May each of you carry a small drop of gentleness with you from this moment onwards. You don't have to rush your growth. You are not behind. You are becoming the best version of yourself so far. All right. I hope that was a little helpful for you guys. I know this was a heavy one. Thank you very much for this wonderful session. Definitely. Oh, thank you so much for your kind words, guys. And I'm so glad I got you guys as the audience today. Really, I am really grateful that I was able to interact with all of you and hear all of your stories. Just a little summary. I'll make this very quick. Post-traumatic growth is a gradual process, okay? It may require support, though. And small steps count. As I've kept on saying, practice emotional regulation, set your intentions, and be kind to yourself. You are not alone. If you are seeking support, therapy can help guide you. Healing is not about returning to who you were before. It's about discovering who you are now. And with that, thank you all for being here. I hope you leave with a little more clarity, a little more hope, and a reminder that even though the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it. I really enjoyed this session with you guys, and I hope that we can see you again for future workshops. I hope you all take care and have a wonderful day. feel free to drop off. If any of you have questions,